Welcome to the Casual Movie Club.
Hey.
This is the podcast where a couple of good friends talk about movies, rate them for your listening pleasure. I'm Brian.
And I'm John, and this is where we do the thing.
This is the thing. This is the thing.
This is the thing.
The thing that we're doing this week is The Thing. And
Right.
by that, I specifically mean the movie The Thing. John Carpenter's.
And we're not talking about it.
We're not talking about it.
No, we're talking about the thing.
We're talking about The Thing.
Right. But it is not the thing.
No, they are two separate things.
I was trying to see how long we could go along with the nonsense, but
We can go all night.
Brian, how are you?
I'm doing well, John. How are you?
I'm great, man. And we watched the movie called The Thing from 1982. And Brian, what'd you think of it?
I loved it.
Really?
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I've seen this movie quite a few times,
Okay.
and it's a psychological thriller. It's I know you might not agree with this just based off of something you let slip earlier, but to me it's one of my favorite horror movies, and I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Okay, what would you say made it your favorite? You know, why would this be your favorite over something else?
The psychological aspect of something that is an enemy, something that is imitating one of your friends or family or what have you, and the deterioration of trust, the stoking of paranoia, and how the people, the colleagues, employees, or people that you've worked with, that you've known for months, if not years, suddenly they are not what they appear to be, and that is just very interesting to me to see that dynamic play out on film.
Yeah, I could totally see that, and now that you kind of explained it that way, which is funny because I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
It kind of changes my appreciation of the movie because I will be honest, I didn't like it.
really.
I thought it was slow.
It is slow.
I thought it was predictable.
It's very slow. I
thought there were parts that were predictable, and I'm thinking, all right, now he's going to turn into oh, yep, he's the thing now. Okay, and he's going to jump out. Oh, there he is. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I thought there was a lot of gore in there.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of slimy alien parts and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't love it, but it was entertaining.
Okay.
You know, but all of that aside, with your sort of explanation of the psychological thriller element of it, I can totally see that now. And my opinion of it, I still didn't enjoy it. Like, I wouldn't watch it again. You know, now that I've seen it, I can say, okay, I've seen it, and that's it. That's great. But that sort of facet made me, you know, like sort of turned on a new light. So I appreciate that.
I'm glad I led with this. There are a couple of scenes that really outline this, and one of them in particular was the scene where Windows, they're all arguing about who's the thing, who's not the thing.
Right.
And Windows kind of gets freaked out and he runs away. He breaks into a gun cabinet and pulls out a gun, and then everybody goes to talk him down from using the gun.
Right.
And they all are just distrustful of each other, and they get a couple sentences out and it just breaks out into just yelling over each other and arguing, and then somebody calms the group down and then just breaks out again over into paranoia and arguing, and nobody trusts each other.
Yeah.
Nobody trusts each other.
Yeah.
And that's what this thing does. It sows dissent among even the closest of friends.
Well, that could happen in just about any situation.
It could.
Not necessarily an alien invasion, but if something happens where, you know, something goes wrong and you don't know who to blame and people just point the fingers, it's kind of a human nature type of thing.
Yeah.
Where you don't know who made the mistake or who committed the crime or whatever, and then people just start kind of pointing their fingers, and, you know, that sort of isolation thing, the isolation aspect of it can really start to bring out those inner demons.
Yeah, and this movie is regarded as one of it's the gold standard for horror movies. This is one of the all-time most popular horror movies, and it's regarded as such because there's a gore aspect.
Right.
There's a horror aspect when the monster presents itself and they're actively fighting the monster. But there's also it's everything that we've talked about already. Yeah. Now you mentioned that this could happen under any other circumstances, but what makes this one of the better horror movies is that it's a monster. It's an alien. It's something that comes down. It's the unknown.
Right.
There's an element of xenophobia in here, just the fear of the stranger. But what turns that on its head is that the stranger is somebody that looks like you or me.
Right. And that's, you know, I'm just kind of, as we're starting to talk about it, I'm kind of thinking that maybe I might have been too quick to judge this because I was sort of taking points off for, you know, oh, Kurt Russell and his beard, you know, he looked ridiculous with the beard and I couldn't take him seriously. And then the, you know, cheesy special effects and blah, blah, blah. But I'm thinking, wait, this was 1982.
Yes.
I was 1 year old.
Yeah, and there's a lot of it is the 80s. It's early 80s.
Right.
But there's other aspects to this also. And one of my favorite things about movies is the conversation that happens afterwards.
Yeah.
I love...
Which is the beautiful thing of this podcast.
Yeah, yeah. I love watching a movie and then stewing and just thinking about it for days afterwards. And just thinking about new aspects of it and possibly, if I'm able to, going back and rewatching and picking up new details. But just... one of my favorite things to do growing up was going out to watch movies with friends and then going out to, the old date trope, go to dinner and a movie. What my friends and I used to do is we would go watch a movie first, then go to like a diner and just talk about the movie afterwards. And this was pre-internet. So this was like one of our favorite things to do.
Oh, yeah.
So, like this, I'm glad we're having this conversation about this movie because this is so nuanced in the message it sends. One thing I wanted to bring up also that I thought about during the course of the movie. In the very beginning, we're introduced to the American science camp in Antarctica, and MacReady, Kurt Russell. He is playing chess. He's playing computer chess, and he thinks he's outsmarted the computer. Right. The computer turns out outsmarts him, and he gets mad, and he pours his scotch into the computer and blows it up. Yeah. If you think about this aspect, and maybe this is me reading into it, but this occurred to me during the course of the film. This alien comes in, and it is trying to survive. Right. And it's doing things to try to ensure its survival. Right. It looks at the helicopter, it sees the helicopter, and when it gets the opportunity, it goes and it sabotages the helicopter. In the form of inhabiting whoever it was inhabiting. Right. I forget the person that he inhabited. Yeah. And then later on, the humans realize, well, this alien's making its own craft to try to get out of here, and they do their own counter. So and they find it and they blow up the alien ship. Right. So you've got a little level of chess going on. Right. The alien does a couple things. It takes a couple people out, and then the humans catch on, and they devise a way to combat that with the blood test and with blocking off doors and everything else. So I like that aspect about it as well, the gamification of trying to survive. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really good point because, again, I guess maybe, I was kind of going to wait till the end to say this, but, the way that this conversation's been going has really opened my eyes and makes me want to watch it again. Not now. Yeah, of course not. Yeah. Maybe in like a week or two, but I'm kind of thinking I want to watch it again now that I have a little bit more of an open mind to it because all of these things are totally making complete sense to me. Mm-hmm. And, I'm kind of wondering when it comes to the uniqueness aspect of it, this type of thing has definitely been done since then. Oh, yeah. I'm actually thinking of an X-Files episode about this almost exact thing Yeah, and I can tell you, this movie coming out in '82, this was this was the first movie of its kind, and it inspired. Again, this movie is regarded as the gold standard of horror movies.
Yeah.
Of many other movies.
Right.
But this inspired pop culture and other media, video games, movies down the line.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can see the legacy there. But I don't know if you've seen this X-Files episode, but there's an X-Files episode where they start out and it's up in Antarctica or Alaska, I think, and the first scene is this guy doing one of these like video diaries, and he's like, "We're not who we are."
Oh, is this the Krychek story arc where they go and they get the...
No, Krychek didn't come in till later seasons, but this one was in season 1. It was like episode 6 or 7 or something. It was when they went up to the Alaska like ice core drilling thing.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was they were, Mulder and Scully were investigating a series of strange deaths because people basically all said, we're not who we are.
Yeah.
It ends here. It ends now. It goes no further than this. And then they all kind of blew each other's brains out.
Right.
So it was basically, I could see how it would be tied to a movie like The Thing.
Yeah. I've for sure seen every episode of season 1. There's a lot of X-Files I haven't seen, but I've definitely seen the entire first couple seasons, and I just can't recall that episode.
Yeah. No, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I think this is like the third time I've referenced the X-Files in this episode.
It's a great show,
and
they've had a ton of just relatable episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's look at some trivia here, because I know there was some interesting trivia about this movie. For example, the effects were created by a guy named Rob Bottin, who was actually 22 years old.
Yeah,
working on the project.
Pretty much all practical effects as well. Not everything was practical, but a majority of the effects were practical. And they did some interesting things with the camera as well. They had one of the blood tests that they did when the blood. They tested, I forget the guy, but they tested his blood and it turned out to be the Thing, and they dropped the blood vial on the floor and all the blood scattered, and it looked like the blood was sentient, and it all just kind of scattered and spilled away. What they did is they shot that in reverse.
Oh, okay.
So it looked, when they dropped the blood and they used fans to blow it around, they actually reversed that camera shot, so it looked like that the blood was running away when it was actually being blown around. Yeah,
and I thought it was pretty interesting how when the Thing was coming out of the dog towards the beginning, and you actually saw the legs sprouting from the dog.
Yeah.
And they basically showed this dog metamorphosizing, if that's a word, morphing into this Thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now, correct me if I'm wrong, I could have this detail incorrect, but was when the dog thing unleashed itself, was it multiple dogs? Like, I could have sworn I saw multiple heads.
At first, no, but when it was like kind of flailing about, it got a couple dogs into itself. So it when it first went in there, it was just the one dog.
Right.
But then as it was flailing about and doing its crazy metamorphoses,
right,
it took a couple dogs into it.
Okay. So wasn't there a human head in there that was kind of separated or something? I'm envisioning this sort of multi creature.
Yeah.
That was kind of a combination of all the things it had assimilated.
That's
right.
I never considered that. That's interesting. But are you not? You think you're mistaking that with the Thing they brought back from the Norwegians camp that had the two heads?
Well, the dog from the very beginning of it, the very first scene that you see the Norwegian guy in the helicopter shooting at the dog running.
Yes,
that dog is already a thing.
It's already a thing
coming. Spoiler alert, coming towards the American camp, and then. We don't know what that dog had.
Oh, I see what you're
already.
saying now. I see what you're saying now.
So
yes.
when they were ripping it open, didn't they see like a split human head inside there? I could have sworn there was. And again, I could be missing the detail.
Probably, but
Yeah.
I not considered that it was because there was a bunch of dead Norwegians already when they went to visit the Norwegian camp. So it stands to reason that it was Norwegian at one time, and then it jumped to a dog, and then it jumped to another Norwegian.
Right, and we don't know if, because throughout the movie, a few of the things are killed.
Yes.
So we don't know if it's one thing that had jumped from host to host, and then former things that it had occupied it killed, but it was still one step ahead of everybody.
Well,
we don't know that.
We do know that. We know that it was multiple people in the camp, in the American camp.
Right.
We know that for sure.
Was it multiple people simultaneously, though?
Yes, it was, because it was Blair. Because Blair was locked. The doctor was already locked away in the tool shed, right?
Right.
He was a thing.
But he wasn't locked away in the tool shed until later in the movie. He did an autopsy on at least two of the things.
He did. He did do autopsies on two of those things.
So I'm wondering if that's how he got thingified.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't recall them.
They didn't show how he became a thing.
Yeah. But we know that he was a thing by the time he was put into the tool shed.
Right.
And there were other things with the rest of the scientists running around because they were doing the blood test there. So there were multiple things running around the camp at the same time.
Right. What an interesting movie.
Yeah, I think this is a good Halloween movie.
Yeah.
I would recommend you picking it back up maybe September, October.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Yeah, maybe we could have like some kind of horror movie party or something.
Hey, I'm cool with it. Maybe a live episode.
Yeah, I'm so down for a live episode.
Absolutely. So the gobs and gobs of folks that listen to us, will tune in and listen to us live. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
If you guys are interested in a live episode, let us know on Twitter and Facebook. Not Facebook. On Twitter and Instagram, you can reach us at Casual Movie Club. You can go to our website, casualmovieclub.com, where we have a way to contact us. We also have our leaderboard up on there. We also have links to all the different places you can get our podcasts, places like TuneIn and Google Play and iTunes and Stitcher and iHeartRadio and even YouTube, as a matter of fact. So wherever you choose to listen to us, we are all over the place. So please definitely check us out there. And you can also give us a call.
Yeah, you can.
Or text us.
Send us a text message or give us a call at 402-882-2742. That's 402-882-2742. If we will not answer the call, but you can certainly leave us a voicemail, and we will appreciate.
We would love it, and we would check it out. And if it's a fun message, we will share it on a future episode of
The Casual Movie Club.
Right, which is the thing that we're doing. It's it.
Yeah, I'm glad that maybe we should do it.
It would be cool.
Yeah, there's the It from the 80s, and there's also the current It.
Maybe we can watch both and do a single episode comparing the two.
I would enjoy that.
There we go. We're just brainstorming now, but do we want to jump to numbers? Are you ready for numbers?
I'm ready if you're ready. If there's nothing else you want to cover.
I can't think of anything at the moment. So let's do some numbers. And if you're wondering what in the hell are you talking about with those numbers? What? You can go to Casual Movie Club, click on the leaderboard, and see how we rank our movies in the different categories by which we rank our movies. Namely, we talk about acting. How well did the actors convey the story? How believable were they? Did you feel like you were watching Kurt Russell with way too much hair? Or did you feel like you were watching McCready, the character he played? Was he believable? The script. How well was the dialogue written? What was the quality of the writing itself? The presentation, the editing and visual effects. Too much? Not enough? Was it appropriate? Was there copious amounts of green screen? How did it look? Then the music and sound, how did it sound? So how was the goodies for your ears, as I like to call it? And then the uniqueness. Has this type of thing been done before? Has this movie been done before? And specifically, this is related to the time in which the movie came out. So we're not talking about the uniqueness is not being impacted by movies that have come out after this. And then the last factor is the engagement factor. How likely are you to stay awake or stay engaged during this movie? Are you glued to the screen, or are you more glued to Kim Kardashian's butt on Instagram?
Or the fact that she's trying to become a lawyer.
Really?
Yeah. That's a topic for another day.
Yeah, or maybe another podcast. But I will start it off with acting.
Okay, great.
So, how well did the actors convey the story? I'm genuinely torn on this because I really, really liked the, kind of now that I've sort of, my mind has been opened to sort of that the psychotic aspect of it, and the psycho thriller, aspect of it. I think they really did well, and I really liked the performances. So I'm going to give the acting a 4.
Oh, okay.
And Brian?
I am right on board with you. I just for I was going to give them a 4 as well, so I'm going to stick with my 4. My justification is there were some lines, there were some interactions that were a little clunky for me.
Yeah.
Particularly with, I forget his name, but Knowles, I guess, the chef.
I agree. Yeah. T.K. Carter. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, he was definitely acting a character that a stereotypical character of the time.
I was going to say overacting.
Yes.
A little overacting.
Yeah, but it was definitely something that I had seen before.
Yeah. And also, not to interrupt you, I'm sorry, but I guess the older guy who was sort of in charge at first, the one who carried the revolver gun around.
Was that Cooper?
No, it was like Larry, I think. Or Gary.
Gary, you're right.
I just wasn't feeling his performance.
Oh, really? I liked it.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Something about it just wasn't hitting me right. But I mean, everything else, I'm sticking with my 4.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with a 4 too. There was a couple other things that I guess I don't really need to go into, but there's a few clunky interactions, a few personalities, and not just Knowles, but there's a couple other guys in there that just kind of took me out of it for a few minutes. But overall, the general acting was I thought 4 worthy.
Yeah, cool. So on that note, the script. How did you feel the dialogue was written? The quality of the writing of the dialogue.
Everything felt believable to me. The script, to me, I have seen it before, and so I might be a little biased, but everything played out in a way that felt believable, and the how the dialogue was written, how the characters interacted with each other, acting aside, and the score I just gave that, I thought the script was very well done. I would score this a 4.5. Cool.
Okay. I'm going to agree with most of that, honestly. And what I really liked about the writing, too, was it seemed to focus a good amount on the sort of, I'm going to try to phrase this in a way that makes some kind of sense. The realism making it believable, if that makes sense. How they were dealing with what was happening, and they weren't overreacting and they weren't going overboard. They were handling it as if they were legitimate people being forced into that. I hope that makes some kind of sense. I feel like it doesn't, but it does. It wasn't campy writing. I thought it was authentic.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a better way to put it. It was authentic.
So we had a couple of doctors on there. We had a couple of medics. There was a radio technician. There was a pilot.
Yeah.
I don't know what Childs was, but no one really felt like... really, McCready and Childs felt like soldiers. They felt like guys who were in the military and were able to handle themselves.
Maybe Charles might have been like a security guy or something.
Probably he felt like a security guy.
Yeah.
Everybody else felt believable in their roles, especially I guess Windows, when he was confronted with a thing and froze up and couldn't act.
Right.
And then was killed because of it.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So I'm gonna give the script a 4.25.
Oh.
Presentation, editing, and visual effects usage. For the time, it was quite impressive. Mm-hmm. I think there was a ton of detail that is really kind of what comes back to me. There was a ton of detail, especially in the thing itself when they were doing the autopsies and, the thing was on screen and everything. It was, I really liked the level of detail they went into. If there were any green screens, I couldn't spot them.
I spotted one.
I didn't notice. And where'd you spot it?
It might not have been a green screen per se, but I know what you're saying. It was at the end where they were about when the thing was attacking McCready directly. They were in the generator room. It swallowed up the plunger to blow up the dynamite.
Oh, yes.
And it was crashing through the floors.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was green screen.
Or it might have just been like stop motion or, some type of
stop
artificial
motion,
effect.
Yeah. It might have been stop motion,
It might have been really well done stop motion because I've seen really cheesy stop motion before, So presentation, I don't have really any, I don't know that I have any qualms about it, but I liked the detail. I'm just going to give it a straight 4.
Yeah, man, you're about mirroring my my scores here. So yeah, 4 for me also. The detail that I appreciated was the character detail. In all of the rooms and all of the racks, you could really see that this base was well lived in, especially in the rec room where they were playing cards. There was a lot of mess, a lot of clutter, stuff that really, when scenes like that happen, you're looking at the characters. You're looking what it's immediately in front of them and what they're doing. So it's easy to miss a lot of that stuff. But if you look around that room, you can see that it's cluttered, it's dirty, it's lived in. There were clothes crumpled up in the corners. There was messes on tables, and that kind of stuff I liked, especially in their quarters. You didn't see a lot of the quarters. It wasn't Windows. It was the other guy, and I forget his name. He smoked pot a lot. But in his room, you could see like posters, and there was just it was a lot of his stuff, and you could tell it was his stuff by his personality.
Yeah.
So I liked a lot of that detail also.
That's cool.
The thing, of course, that you've said better than I could have. The detail in the thing was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Not taking away anything from that, but I scored the presentation a 4.
Cool. And how about the music and sound?
I say this pretty much every episode, but music and sound, a good soundtrack is one that I don't even notice. And this is no exception. A lot of strings, when I was noticing it, just because I've seen this film a few times, there's a lot of strings in it. It was very good at building tension. The sound effects as well. The thing was horrifying to me anyway. The little yell it does when it was a human was pretty terrifying. I liked it a lot. I probably wouldn't score this music and sound that high. I would probably give it maybe a 3.5. No. Take that back. I'll give it a 4.
Okay. Well, interestingly enough, I'm actually I liked the sound effects. The sound mix, that was fine. I really liked the sort of attention to detail with the with the things, noises there. Even just the Foley and the little sounds of like when it was, the spider legs would come up and it was,
Yeah.
Like the little scurrying, scraping. Like it was all very well done. Nice detail there. what I'm taking points off for is the score. I really didn't care for the score.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't like that dun dun. That,
yeah.
like, kind of wanted to be Jaws, but wasn't.
That's a John Carpenter thing. That he has that in a lot of his movies.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't care for it. It was. I feel like it went on too long as well.
Okay.
There were scenes where that little dun 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 dun, that little motif was going on, and we were just looking at a static picture of something, and I was thinking, well, what is going to happen? What's supposed to happen here? Because usually when I hear music, it's supposed to invoke an emotion, or it's supposed to sort of make me feel something. I started getting that uneasy feeling that that he was going for, but then it just dragged on for a while. So I guess that was intentional or something, but that is going to take some deductions off. I'm going to go 3.25.
I know the scenes you're talking about too. It's the scenes where they're out the ship, the ship the Norwegians found.
Yeah,
there was that cliff face in the very beginning too.
The very first shot was so long, was way too long. And that kind of almost took me out of it and thinking, what is it we're looking at?
Yeah. Why do I care? Why am I supposed to feel dread looking at this cliff face?
Right, exactly. And you could barely see the helicopter kind of coming into view. I think they would have done better having the screen black and then having that dun 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 whatever, and then fade up on the cliff face for about 5 seconds, and then you see the helicopter come right over.
Yeah.
So if they want to invoke that sense of the unknown and sort of whatever, have it. I think Kubrick did that in was it Clockwork Orange, or might have been Clockwork Orange, where what movie was that? There was some movie where it was black for a while, and there was just some music that was building up some tension.
2001.
Was it 2001?
2001 did that a lot.
I know 2001 was incredible, and it really used music as a tool for that. I want to say it was something else, but
I've seen 2001 more recently than Clockwork Orange, and 2001 did that a lot, especially in the space.
Yeah,
the space scenes.
You're right, and it was probably there may have been other movies that did this too, but I remember 2001 had a lot of just like random string stuff or random choir, choral stuff. Like I know 2001 was a masterpiece.
Yes,
masterpiece, absolute masterpiece. It's a very long movie.
Yeah, it's like 2.5 hours, 3 hours maybe.
I think it's like 3 hours. So music and sound for The Thing, 3.25 from me.
Oh.
Uniqueness. This
can be interesting.
Yeah. Early 80s horror movies, I'll be honest, are not a genre I am overly familiar with. So I'm going to say, this movie definitely did leave quite a legacy that inspired so many other ones. So, I'm going to give this a uniqueness factor of 4.25, simply because I can't think of anything else that was this specific from that time frame. And again, I'm not doing any internet research; it's my own.
Yeah.
My own knowledge of it. What about you?
Well, I watched a lot of 80s horror growing up, mostly in the 90s, but I watched a lot of 80s horror, and there was a lot of horror in the 80s, and a lot of good horror also. A lot of it inspired by this film, as I mentioned earlier. This was one of the first movies to really do the kind of psychological horror this is one of the first movies to kind of to do what it did for horror. Granted, there were other ones that did similar things, but this is the first one to kind of really bring it to the mainstream, really bring it to the pop culture, I should say. You gave it a 4.25.
Yeah, but I'm kind of thinking about it now.
I would give uniqueness a 4, just because the 80s were rife with horror films, and I'm trying not to think beyond 82.
Yeah.
But there were There were a lot of horror movies in the 80s.
I'm agreeing with your 4.
Yeah,
I'm going back to 4.
I'm going to put this at a 4.
Yeah. And then I think you are up for engagement factor.
This engages me pretty thoroughly. Now, there were some slow parts in there, and there were some times where I was like, I wonder what's going on the internet right now. But generally...
You were looking at Kim Kardashian's butt.
I was looking at ways that she could go be a lawyer without having to go to law school. So as much as I love this movie and as engaging as it is, there were some slow parts in there, and there were some times where I was a little out of it just because of just the pacing. The pacing dragged it sometimes. So for engagement, I'm gonna put this at a I'm gonna put it at a 4.5.
4.5?
No, I'm gonna put it at a 4. I'll put it 4 even.
4?
Up 4, yes.
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
So
this held my attention for the most part.
Okay.
But I'm not giving a perfect score because there were some times where I was kind of like thinking, I wonder what John thinks of this.
Yeah. Well,
I wonder what's going on the internet right now.
That just seems kind of high. But if you're going with it,
I'm going because everything else drew me in.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because I'd seen it a few times before. Also, that might be a factor.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fine. So, so engagement factor for me.
Now, be honest based off of
I will.
Pre-conversation.
I will.
Pre-podcast.
I will. So, there were definitely parts that really dragged. And I agree with a lot of what you said. The parts that didn't drag really did have me curious as to what was going to happen next. So, am I going to say 4? No. Am I going to say 3? No. I'm going to say 3.5.
Oh, you got me.
Yeah.
3.5 though? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because the parts that, and I picked up my phone a couple of times, mainly because for whatever reason, while I'm watching a movie to prepare for this podcast, everyone loves to text and call me.
Yeah.
So I love you all. And those who know me know I love to talk on the phone more so than texting, but you can text me on Monday nights. It's fine. I'm just putting that out there. Anyway, so do you want to do any take backsies or are the numbers in?
I'm satisfied with my numbers.
As am I. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, the numbers are in. And as of right now, you definitely like this movie more than I did. Your total average 4.08, mine 3.83, which is pretty fair. So,
wait. What was the averages again?
Your total average was 4.08, and just to clarify, that's your total average rating based on the acting, script, presentation, music and sound, uniqueness, and engagement factor. The average of all those is 4.08 for you.
And yours?
3.83.
Okay, I heard 4.83. I'm like, that can't be right.
No, I definitely did not like this movie as much as The Princess Bride. So, that being said, this is going to be interesting. All right, so here we go. Acting, 4. Script, 4.38. Presentation, 4. Music and sound, 3.63. Uniqueness, 4. Engagement factor, 3.75 for a total average of 3.96.
What?
Same score as Star Wars Episode 4.
I thought for sure this would be higher.
I know. Now I'm wondering whether when I put this in, if it's going to sort it above or below Star Wars Episode 4.
Do we have it set for alphabetization?
No, it sorts by the total score. But since the total score is the same, it's 3.96 for both. Let's see. So Star Wars is 3.25 for acting. This is 4 for acting. Script is 4.38. Star Wars was 3.75. Presentation 4.25. This is 4. So it's better on acting and script, lower in presentation. Music and sound was 5. This is lower. Engagement was 4. This is 3.75. So I don't know. I have a feeling it might put it below Star Wars, but I don't know. We'll have to see where the things the thing sorts it. Those are the numbers for The Thing, and I I think in the spirit of keeping it casual, we're not going to pick our next movie yet.
No. You're going to get a surprise of a movie.
Rando.
Our surprise of a rando movie.
Right, you're going to get a rando next time. But we do have some movies in the pipeline for you that are going to be coming that you may know about. But some you're not going to. Because we're just going to keep it casual.
Just keep it casual, baby.
Keep it casual, baby. Well, until next time, please feel free to share our podcast with your friends and family and coworkers and those that you think would love to join us and all of you in listening to two friends talking about movies. We would love to have them join us, and you can do so on many of the, pretty much all of the major podcasting platforms. Links are on the bottom of our website, so just go to casualmovieclub.com and look on the very bottom. So iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. We'd love to have you guys listening to us and sharing us with all your friends and family. We appreciate all those that are listening to us, and we would love to have more. I think I just repeated myself, but that's fine. Anything else you want to say, Brian?
Peace, love, and applesauce.
Amen to that. See you next time.